Hi,
Okay,
I'm Renee.
Kent, I think.
um, we are going to continue on in our lessons from the ancients based on the book we published at their request called The Augmentation of Man, A Study in Renaissance. And we're on chapter 3.
Again, I want to reiterate we are going to lecture this Wednesday at the Woodlands Library in the Woodlands at 7 o'clock in the evening. And it'll go for an hour. Go ahead.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about chapter 3 and specifically about reincarnation. We're also going to tie in a little bit more about karma. And so we have to kind of back up just a little bit. All of creation, or all that is, was set up as a nerve, much like our bodies, network of conscious energy, or a flow of energy that carries conscious, intelligent information and knowledge for beings who want to access that and grow and learn from.
Our brain is the microcosm, basically, of the universe. Our brain is geared like the universal neuronet.
And so the source and the neuronet are related. Source carries a higher level of intelligence that we as humans are not able to understand. So we have to go through a source entity to take that level of intelligence and simplify it for us. So that's when we speak to a teacher, a spiritual teacher, that would be a source entity.
Yeah, it's the electrical synapse in our brain is much like the electricity that's unseen in the universal structure, which we are just now beginning to discover the first steps in the universe in our scientific studies here on Earth. We have a lot farther to go, but we are beginning to penetrate the trueness of what's out there in the vast universe.
So to understand how source and the neural network, just look at your own body and how our own nervous system works. It's much like that, how messages get from the brain to the hand to move it, how we respond to touching something hot and we retract. The information travels throughout the atmospheres of all of creation, much in the same way as information travels on our own nerves. And so what it is in the atmosphere, it takes charged atoms that form cords. They're plasmic cords. They form the fiber optics that carry the light, the intelligent energy that we can access when we're looking for further understanding and our spiritual growth.
Yeah, our interpretation of heaven, as stated in many publications, is far vast than our realization of what exists. The universe is extremely expansive, which we don't understand as a culture right now, but eventually we'll gain more and more intellect and understanding how big it really is.
Our own personal growth and our quest for understanding, it comes in steps. And so we progress in small steps toward an enlightenment process, and complete enlightenment would not occur for probably millions of years. in the process, our learning really is never over with, and coming here in a life experience is only part of the learning that is available within the universe of understanding.
Well, our ability to reach higher levels is extremely difficult for a higher level of understanding. We have to be able to learn the difference between truth and untruth, which is extremely difficult because most truths are half-truths, which we tend to go along with. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of interperception of self.
So Creator knew that the lesser life forces, which would be the ones with lesser understanding, humans, had to experience much in order to bring our level of understanding up to the level that exists in the rest of the universe. And so that is why we are given this opportunity to come back repeatedly in multiple lifetimes in a sequential sense. We don't live, there's a misnomer out there. We don't live in multiple lives at the same time concurrently. We live in sequential steps, and there is another reason why that belief exists, and we'll have to cover that at another time, because we're going to just cover reincarnation with this visual here.
Again, going back to truth, a negative, what we consider a negative, is a diversion from the actual truth. And a positive is a continuous movement towards the direction of understanding.
So negative entities and negative as it's viewed in the rest of the universe would be the withholding of information or the diversion of the truth or keeping us in the dark. So negative entities basically don't want us to know what the truth really is, and they don't want us to progress in our level of understanding for obvious reasons, control and what have you. So our ability to reach higher levels of understanding and to share that with others is going to keep not only ourselves from being influenced by negative entities or people, and it also keeps others from being influenced by the negative too.
Remember, one thing that's hard for people to accept is we choose the path we want to take before we come here, before we're born here. We also choose our parents. So if you have any issues, stop. There's a learning lesson there that we chose to learn by choosing the parents and the siblings.
So prior to our incarnation in a physical lifetime, we have a soul group, and it could be quite large. We really don't know, Kent and I, but what we have been told is that we coordinate our own personal learning with each other in a play of sorts, where we interact and our lives intermingle, and those energies crisscross each other in an effort to support one another in learning, and we also learn from others. So it's all interconnected, and each lifetime is interconnected. So therefore, if I wanted to choose to learn certain things in a particular lifetime, others in the soul group or other souls who've experienced what I wish to experience, they will get together and actually give me the vibrational attunement, which is a change, a variation in my soul vibration that is going to open the pathway for these events to happen that I wish to experience.
Our purpose come here is for learning and expanding the flow of our intelligent energy, which we derive from the net, depends on where we want to tap into. But with our body expanding out into the universe and learning and understanding as much as we can. That's our purpose here.
So we're actually attaching to the plasmic flow of knowledge in our learning purpose that we're experiencing, or in our learning process that we're experiencing here in the physical realm. So what we're diverting the flow of knowledge over the plasmic cords that make up the neuronet to our physical self, that helps us to interpret and to understand events that we create, basically, out of decisions that we have made.
Well, the physical field, like all fields, are made up of mathematical equations, just like your computer, ones and zeros. This is the universe. It's made up like a gigantic computer, which we are just now beginning to understand. So with these geometrical patterns that form the nanoparticles, the quarks, and the things that make up the atoms, make up the density known as matter. In other words, you have a computer in your hand. If you could refigure the density of that computer based on a mathematical equation, you could change that computer to something else other than a computer. It's not easy to understand, but everything within the universe, that's all things from the heaviest matter to the lightest of gases, is made up of a mathematical equation.
So how does this relate?
That's the language of the universe.
Right. But the spiritual realm is connected to the physical realm by the way of the gases and by the atoms that are made up of mathematical equations that make up the geometrical patterns, that make up quarks, that make up the nanoparticles, that make up the atom, that form the gases, that form matter. So it's all connected.
Well, we choose this planet. We, not necessarily our home planet, but we choose this planet to come here to learn. This planet is an experimental planet, unfortunately. But we come here to learn the experiences which we can equate to a higher self. With that,
we're given the opportunity before we ever start incarnating on a particular planet. We're given the opportunity to choose our home planet.
Yeah.
One that is a vibrational match to where our own level of understanding is. And we return over and over again, experiencing multiple lessons of all kinds of things. It's not just, physics and science and math, but we're also experiencing interactions between each other and all kinds of different conceptual ideas that we're not necessarily cognizant of yet in this physical experience. But we come back to choose a lesson, and then we will also choose to view the other side of that lesson.
And we've been asked, why are there such high-level intellect here on this planet and such low-level intellect? Okay, people come here to learn whatever they're going to learn. And it may not be the first time they come here to learn what they want to learn. People come here and they say, oh, I don't think I want to learn this. This is too hard. So then they choose to go their own path. This is why we have such a diverse intellect on this planet. Those that come here to learn, learn. Those that don't, well, they're going to have to repeat it somewhere down the road until they finally learn the lessons that they need to learn.
But how karma fits into this is that to fully understand we have to be able to experience it from at least both sides, and perhaps from multiple aspects, as we discussed in our last video, which would be the angular learning. So we're viewing it from different angles, and we will be examining the same lesson in our decision making, which comes from, it's how the karma fits in. It's the thought process of the higher self, which is part of the soul that directs our learning process. So it helps, it generates a thought process forward that helps us in our decision making, which ends up creating events for our learning. And then we're to be introspective in understanding what just occurred in that event. But not only is it one event, but we may choose from the higher self in that karmic pathway to experience the other opposing side of that event to give us a full understanding. So therefore, we experience health, and then we experience sickness. We experience wealth, and we experience a lack of money or funds. And so that gives us a more rounded and balanced understanding of that which we are experiencing.
Again, in order to learn, to help in the learning, you have to try to begin to take the neutral position on most events, because you cannot see the forest because a tree is in your way. When you be able to learn to take the neutrality point of view, which is very difficult, very, very difficult, but once you begin to understand how to do that, you begin to understand the wholeness of all it is, and you'll go, wow, well, I never saw this.
And it's not just in politics.
It's in everything.
It's in everything that we're studying. To take the neutral side is going to open the parameters for us to see more truth.
Yeah.
And that's where we really need to be.
So with all this we've given you, if you need to call us or to email us, and we can answer more questions if you're not quite sure of what we just spoke of. But happy learning, and I hope you begin to learn how to take a neutral position in most everything that goes on in this particular planet.
So to contact us, you can reach us at verdience.com. I'm sorry, that's the website.
We encourage you to look at the website.
Yeah, these lessons are also covered on the website in the chapter synopsis and the blog in more detail. And then you can email us at verdience.miller@gmail.com. So that's Verdience, V as in Victor, E-R, D as in dog, I-A-N as in Nancy, C-E, dot Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R, @gmail.com.
Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us.